Thanks for joining us on The Breakfast. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. This morning on the show, we're going to be looking at the challenge PDP governors challenging Fubara's suspension in the Supreme Court. We also will be looking at electricity consumers that paid 509.84 billion naira despite grid collapses. We'll be looking at the problems in the electricity sector and why we are where we are today. Of course, we will have our top trending issues as usual, and then we will also be looking at what made it to the front pages of some of our national dailies this morning. Once again, welcome to The Breakfast this morning. We'll go straight to our top trending issues for this morning. And we're beginning with what happened in the National Assembly. Remember that there was a shouting match, as it were, that the former Minister of Education Defense clashed with Senator at Senate hearing. The former Minister of Education, Ezekwesili, has defended her confrontation with Senator Onyekachi Wabonyi during a Senate committee hearing. The incident occurred at a hearing on a petition against Senate President Godswill Akpabio, where tensions rose over the handling of allegations against him. Ezekwesili expressed satisfaction with the verbal exchange, saying it highlighted the challenges women face in a patriarchal society. She emphasized that the public confrontation has brought attention to the societal tendency to silence women's voices and called for a shift in focus towards gender equality. The clash began with the petitioner Zubairu Yakubu when the petitioner asked the committee chairman, Neda Imasuen, to step down due to allegations of bias and pre-existing ties with Akpabio. Ezekwesili and others present at the hearing, including Abiola Akiyode Afolabi, supported the petitioner's stand, which further escalated the debate. Okay, so we've heard stories of what transpired in the National Assembly. And when Obi Ezekwesili was giving her side of the story, she said that at some point they were asked to not to say anything because of some issues that had arisen during that hearing. So there on one side, that we're there to observe and see what happens, we're asked not to say anything, that this matter will not be brought up the way it should be brought up and all that. The story was long. But when it got to the time of other people, they were allowed to speak. And she tried to raise the motion, asking why some sections of the people at the hearing will be shut up and shut down, while others would be allowed to speak in the same matter, and it didn't show anything but partiality in that. So in complaining, that's where it stemmed from, because a lot of people were trying to say whatever would favor whatever side they were standing for, and it ensued. She said that they were told by the senators that what they were doing here was serious business, not anything else. And she raised a motion and said that that means you're telling us that we are unserious. And because of that, I think that is a very wrong way of putting whatever complaints you might have about what we're doing in this place. And it degenerated into something else. Now, why would a senator say that? Without taking sides, I think the choice of words was bad. Maybe the intention was not like that, but the choice of words was bad. Because if you say what we do here is serious things and not all the things that you're trying to do, it tells you, it says in small words that everybody else that is not there doesn't do serious things or is unserious. So that's why we always call on people all the time, be mindful of what you say. Be mindful of what you say, especially if you are a public office holder. You might just say things that you don't mean. You might mean something else, and it is what the people will hear. It is what the people will interpret that they will run with. As I always say, one of my lecturers said at one point that meanings are in people, not in words. So you might use the words that you think will convey a particular meaning, but the meaning in the people that will be hearing you might be different. That's why you make a conscious effort to ensure that the amount of people that will misunderstand you will be very, very small, because there must be, even if you just say, my name is Nyamgul Agaji, there are people who might misunderstand you. They might be thinking something else. It's very possible, no matter how clear-cut what you said might be. So you make it a point to always make utterances that will have the least misinterpretation. And that's for people, especially who are holding public offices. Be mindful of what you say. It's not a crime, it's not a shame to get someone to teach you how to talk. There are professionals that do that. There are people who can teach you how to talk, tell you what you need to say at what point, and then you become used to it, and you select your words so that you will not be misinterpreted. So no matter what that senator may have meant by saying that we do serious things here when other people are trying to complain about particular things that were happening, you know, if it is interpreted to mean that every other person was not serious enough, then how do you explain it away? So without necessarily emphasizing what happened there, I'm just talking generally for people who are holding public offices. Learn how to talk. It's an art. Talking right is an art. If you don't have it, you may never have it until you learn it. And it's no shame in asking someone to help you navigate that. There are some people who are very good at writing, they're not good at talking. There are some who are very good at talking, they're not good at writing. There are some people who are good at both. There are some people who just say the fewest of words, but when they say them, they will have so much meaning and so much weight. You've seen all that. Everything is a gift. So look for that person who always knows the right thing to say to help you become a better public speaker, to help you hold your emotions in and say only what is right at the right time, because we don't want this disgrace going on in the National Assembly. Every day one problem, one day one problem, as they say, or 1 week one problem, as they say in the National Assembly. People who should be representative of the people that sent them there. So how much of a representative are you for your people that sent you there? Are you behaving well? That's one of the reasons that we sent you there. You are the image maker of where you come from. So please, learn how to talk, learn how to act if you are in public space. And everybody that came as a visitor, if those were the hallowed chambers, as they call the National Assembly, so how hallowed are they? We should see the people who are there as well to be very honorable people, as we call them. How honorable are the honorables that we find in Nigeria? So we don't want to see shouting matches. We don't want to see people being disgraced. And now they're taking it to another step and saying that it's gender inequality, and it shows how women are shouted down all the time. You know, so how do we explain it away? So please, if you are holding public position, do well to speak only what is right at the right time. So we have another one here quickly. MTN Group and Airtel Africa have announced a strategic partnership to share network infrastructure in Nigeria and Uganda. This collaboration aims to enhance mobile connectivity in undeserved areas and improve efficiency by sharing resources. The agreement focuses on radio access network sharing and fiber infrastructure, with both companies looking to extend their reach to rural regions. Both telecom giants believe that this partnership will help meet the growing demand for digital and financial services in Africa. By sharing resources, they hope to avoid the duplication of expensive infrastructure and drive operational efficiencies. This move aligns with the company's goals to provide better coverage and connectivity for their customers. We, the customers, do not care what you do, so long as it will make us pay less. Yes, yesterday we were reading a story from the National Assembly where they were talking about data. The cost of data now is so much, they need to reduce it, there need to be a committee, there need to be this and that. When these people were talking about the fact that they needed to raise the amount paid on data or recharging your phone or whatever it is, they were there. The National Assembly was there. What did they do? Nigerians were crying. We were like, okay, electricity, the tariff has gone up. Everything, the tariff has gone up. Now telecommunications companies are saying the tariff will go off, and the federal government should allow them to do that, because otherwise there will be disruption of services here and there and all. And it began in December, whether it was managed or not, but we started seeing disruptions to services, and it got into January and all that. Suddenly we found out that we woke up one morning and the data subscription cost had skyrocketed. The National Assembly was there. It wasn't like it took them by storm. It is only now that they're talking, when these telecoms companies have already done what they wanted to do. So I wonder why all the time they are giving some, like they say, paracetamol to a dead man. Why are you doing that? I do still hope that something will come out of this, and the National Assembly can hold these people and talk to them and see what their challenges are in the first place, because that's what they should have done. When they were saying we are going to raise our tariffs, they should have called them and said, okay, what are your challenges? How can we help? Because Nigerians depend so much on data. There is no employment anywhere. In fact, they were saying it in the National Assembly yesterday as well. There's no employment anywhere. And especially the youths that are of the majority in this country, they depend on data to be creative enough to get something that will put food on their table, and you want to take that away from them. The amount of subscription every week or every day, it's crazy. So, well, even though it's flogging a dead horse, we do hope that this horse will be so hurt in the spiritual realm that it will now come back to life, and then negotiations can be done on behalf of the Nigerian people, and the tariffs will come down. The Nigerian Customs Service, that's another story. NCS has announced a tax exemption policy aimed at supporting local pharmaceutical manufacturing. This move follows President Bola Tinubu's approval to reduce healthcare costs and boost local production in the sector. The exemption will apply to active pharmaceutical ingredients, APIs, excipients, and raw materials for medicines, long-lasting insecticidal nets, rapid diagnostic kits, reagents, and packaging materials. The initiatives aim to make local healthcare manufacturing more affordable and attractive to investors. NCS has committed to transparency by publishing quarterly reports on the importation of these materials, detailing qualities, values, and importers. The policy is part of the broader effort to improve national healthcare production development. Okay. Now, we are very happy so that we can have medication that is cheap enough. We hope that will be the end result of all this. Excuse me. The seasons are changing. Okay, so this policy that has come, we hope that they will see it through, because we also know that there was a time that the federal government said that there will be tariff removal from particular items. I don't know, I can't remember now, was it 15% or 5% or whatever it is, or total removal of tariff or duties from these products. Until now, I do not know, maybe I do not have the information, but I'm not very sure that policy was seen through. We hope that this one will be seen through, and there will be monitoring, and there will be everything as transparent as possible, so that we can not only have a steady supply of the medication we need, we can also have enough to maybe even export to other countries. We want also to have them as cheap as possible. Let it not be like at the time when we had COVID, a nose mask that was going for 25, 2 naira. Well, how do I even say it? There were 2 for 50 naira before COVID. When COVID came, the people were selling 1 for 1,000 naira. Let it not be like that. Well, that one was exploitation. That one was wickedness, as far as I'm concerned, because if you still go to the pharmacy to buy a full carton of it, a full pack of it, the price was basically the same. And then they were now selling 1 for 1,000 naira. Some good people were selling it for 500 naira. Before I think it started in Cross River State, where the governor said, you know what, I studied this kind of things, and I know that we can use cloth to cover ourselves, and people started sewing clothes for themselves, or that mask for themselves, and they could wash them and all that. But before then, people bought nose masks because they were afraid of dying for 500 naira and sometimes for 1,000 naira for one mask that used to be two for 50 naira. Well, that's Nigeria for you. But I do hope that we'll have these raw materials really come into the country free of charge and fast enough so that we can have enough and then we can have it cheap. So, federal government, kudos to you if you can see this through. Well, that's the much we can take on top trending issues. We had to rush over them, and we're hoping that when we take this break and return, we'll be joined by Biodun Showmi, a public affairs analyst, to x-ray some of the news headlines that we have today. Stay with us.